The phrase go big or go home is a phrase that is used most often with sequels. Things like Independence Day Resurgence or Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom use this term to imply that everything has to be bigger and everything has to be better, and somehow you'll find some quality. And most of the time, that phrase doesn't really match what we get in terms of quality. But I feel like Zombieland Double Tap really takes this phrase and applies it to itself in a way that makes a film that is all the more bombastic while being respectful of its original film, and also giving us a film that has double the laughs and double the taps. Yeah, bad pun, I know. Double Tap takes place 10 years after the original, with Columbus, Wichita, Little Rock, and Tallahassee all trying to find a new home in Zombieland, essentially. When Little Rock heads out on the road by herself with a new acquaintance in the form of Berkeley, the gang heads out to find her. The original Zombieland is one of my favorite films of all time, and the idea of making a sequel is a no-brainer to me. I know, bad pun. To me, it just made me think, why wasn't there a sequel to Zombieland so long ago? Why did it take 10 years? And most of the time, films that take 10 years to make a sequel to, or even longer, they either tend to be okay, or not as good as the original, or even, at times, just not that great. But I think Zombieland Double Tap is actually a pretty good follow-up to the original, if not a little bit underwhelming. Just saying. I think if you love the original Zombieland like I do, you'll love Zombieland Double Tap. For me, I really liked Zombieland Double Tap. I loved Zombieland. And, yeah, that's all I really have to say in terms of summary. This film is pretty good. It has double the laughs, double the taps, more zombies, pretty much some more comedy. That's pretty much all I can really say until I get into specifics here. Now, the biggest thing that has changed between films is that this film in particular has more violence. There's a lot more emphasis on set pieces, mostly because this is kind of a pit stop movie. Every time the characters stop, there's always something that happens, and there is usually a set piece built around it. There are more set pieces in this case, and there's even one that reminds me of the Kingsman church fight scene. You'll know what I mean if you go see the movie, but it's a sequence in Zombieland Double Tap that shows off both the excellent choreography and timing of the camera movement and placement, as well as the excellent editing that makes this whole entire sequence one continuous scene, and I feel is one of the best examples in this movie of how good the action really is. Now, of course, this film also has a big third-act climactic fight sequence, but I feel like in terms of how grandiose it is, while I do appreciate that the film itself challenges our main characters in terms of how they utilize a non-competitive space as a form of defense, it's not as fun as the original Zombieland at the Play Place amusement park. I think that whole thing at the amusement park is honestly more fun than what we had in Double Tap, but that's just me anyway. Now, of course, the biggest thing for me in terms of what I really liked about the original and what I like here, the biggest thing is Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson in this film, as well as the original, is a complete scene stealer. His character is probably the most developed in terms of what his backstory is. In the original, is that he had a son who dies to zombies and essentially tries to bring about some sort of joy and happiness out of having this Twinkie. And he's trying to appreciate the little things along the way in the original. And in this one, him as trying to be sort of a surrogate dad figure to Little Rock improves upon, or at least builds upon, his pre-established backstory as a father who never got to be a father. And it's him learning to let go of being a father and learning to become his own thing after his duty has been quote-unquote done for a while. And I really liked what they did with Tallahassee in this film. They didn't try to modernize him. They didn't try to make him go all like PC or learn new things. He's a character that would naturally contradict with many people, but he is a character that also understands that people have differing opinions and differing thoughts, and I think that's the biggest strength of Tallahassee in this film. I really enjoyed that aspect of the film whatsoever. This film also boasts a brand new cast of characters, so let's start with one that I really liked, and that was Rosario Dawson. Mostly because I really like Rosario Dawson. She's a great actress. She's really cool, and her role in the film is kind of on par with someone like, well, Tallahassee. She's a new addition to the team that is on par with Tallahassee. She stands toe to toe. She's not just a new character that's a love interest for Woody Harrelson's character. She's also on toe to toe with him in terms of combat capabilities, and I think they're pretty much a good couple. And besides, they both really love Elvis. Who doesn't love Elvis? They're mutually in love with him. The next two additions were Luke Wilson and Thomas Middleditch. I'm not entirely sure what his name is. They both play Albuquerque and Flagstaff, respectively, which are essentially kind of a mirror of who Columbus and Tallahassee are. They are characters that pretty much resemble each other, and they kind of make fun of the fact that they're both kind of exactly the same, but a little bit different in terms of how they play off each other. So, like, Columbus, for example, has rules, and then Flagstaff has commandments, which I find really hilarious. And there is definitely differences between the two. And the joke for them doesn't really go that long. All their things is just kind of like 15 minutes, I think. But it doesn't, like, pervade the entire movie. And I really like that. I like the fact that this film doesn't really beat you over the head constantly with the same joke throughout the entirety of the film. And I like the fact that with certain jokes that do play a little bit too long, they take a break from that and they do some other stuff before bringing it back again sometime later. I feel like that's a better way to do this kind of comedy. Now, the character that I had the most issue with initially was Madison. When I first watched her character, I felt that she was more just playing the same tired stereotype of a dumb blonde. However, when I really thought about it, she does play the character pretty well. There are bad ways of portraying this type of character, like entirely clueless, doesn't have a mind of her own, but she kind of does, but it's not necessarily in the way that you would think she does. She plays the character like she just got off the set of Clueless, or she just watched the movie Clueless and said, you know what, I'll do that, but add some of my own spin. And the film itself, in terms of the script, is pretty much self-aware to the point where at some point we needed to get a break from this character, so in that way we could develop the other characters and then we could bring her back again. Even though she's not that integral to the plot, other than what the relationship between Wichita and Columbus is, she's okay. She's not that great of a character, but at the same time she plays her pretty well that I didn't really mind her in the end. At first she was annoying, but as I kept thinking about it, she's okay. In the end, while Zombieland Double Tap isn't as good as the original in my opinion, I do feel like it's a worthy sequel to the original. If you love the original, you'll definitely love this one. It definitely brings up the laughs, it brings up the taps, it brings up the gore, it brings up the violence, while also still finding some time to put in some heart and jokes and effort into it. And also definitely stay through the credits, because there's some really fun stuff that they do with it. So, in the end, I'm going to give Zombieland Double Tap a B+. Thank you so much for watching my review of Zombieland Double Tap. Make sure to like and subscribe if you liked my content. If you disagree with my opinion, or if you agree with my opinion, whatever, comment whether or not you liked the film. I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it, so get to typing. See you in the next video. Peace.